Hi, Connect Groups. Good to see you again. Well, I can't see you, but you can see me. We're in Acts chapter 18, and the theme is encouragement. It's building one another up. It's urging one another forward. It's saying great things, kind things. It's even correction by speaking the truth in love, but doing so in a private way. We raised kind of three main themes that came forward from Acts chapter 18, and we looked at encouragement through good company. Just picking good friends, choosing wisely, that brings about a team spirit and a wonderful support network. And then secondly, we looked at encouragement through the truth. And so speaking the truth is a form of encouragement. It builds us up. It gives us confidence. We're standing on a good platform. But doing so in a private way is so critical. And Priscilla and Aquila pulled Apollos aside and taught him the more accurate way. I love that phrase. They didn't say you're wrong. They just wanted to explain more accurately the position of being baptized. And this is such a key for us, whether you're in your work environment or your home environment, church environment. It's building upon where someone is rather than tearing down where they are. Now, there are moments where sometimes our foundation is so poor and our understanding is so poor, we have to kind of remove some chunks. But the way in which we go about increasing someone's confidence and knowledge is to identify where they are and say, let me build on that. Let me tell you even more accurately. I acknowledge where you are, but here's even more for you to consider. Here's more for you to think about. Here's the rest of the story. And so this little episode in Acts 18 gives us a kind of clue as to maybe how we can approach building people up, even if it's corrective build up. So that's one point that you can take and discuss one with another is how do you go about correcting people, and maybe that's within your family or within your marriage or within your job environment, or maybe put it a different way, how would you like to be corrected? I mean, if you know that at the end of the day we're all making mistakes, we're all falling short, if someone had to come and say, let me give you some insight, how would you want to receive that? Sharing that one with another would help us get a nice picture of possibility. So the next time we encounter opportunity to correct someone, or whether we're being corrected, we're ready for that and ready to do that in a biblical way and in a way that builds up and leads to encouragement. And then the last point was that encouragement is an urge to move forward. So that wherever we are in our process of spiritual growth or educational growth or growth, maturity as a man or woman, there's some points where we just need to move ahead. The idea of waiting on the Lord is very biblical, and pausing and considering, seeking counsel. But there are those moments where we know what to do, and we just need someone to kind of push us off the edge, and sometimes the Lord will do that through a set of circumstances. And sometimes we can help one another do that by launching someone forward. And that's really what Apollos, I think, receives from not just Aquila and Priscilla, but those in the church of Ephesus, where Apollos says, look, I think I want to go to Greece and talk to those folks about Christ. And immediately we hear the word, and they encouraged him to do so. And we look back at a text in Exodus 14 where Moses was there, an extremely great responsibility under his shoulders as a leader. And the Lord says, why are you still crying to me? Go forward. So even though Moses had encouraged all the people around him, he still needed that encouragement, that word from the Lord, that push. Hey, keep going. You're doing great. And I would suspect that as humans, we all come to moments where we just feel like stopping. We're tired, we're kind of done. And yet, with an encouraging word or a push to move forward, we can. And when we do, great things happen. And so I want to give you that moment to encourage one another forward, to say kind words to one another. This is something that I experienced. I was probably 21 years old, and I was on a missions trip with Youth with a Mission. And during that trip, we grew close together. There's prayer, there's ministry together. There's eating together. You just kind of bond. And on that final night, with a group of, I think there were 13 of us, we literally went around the room, and if you can envision it this way, or physically, if this works for you, you put someone in the middle of the group, you put a seat there, and you say, it's your turn to sit in that seat, and then everyone just takes liberty and encourages you. Here's what I saw this week in your life. Here's what I saw in your character. When you said this, boy, that was fantastic. When you thought no one was looking, I saw what you did. And all of that to build up, and then you just lay hands on them and pray. Lord, continue to encourage them. Move them forward. Bless them. Let them fulfill all that you've called them to do. And it's a very intense and concentrated way to receive encouragement. It's not the norm, but sometimes we need to break out of the norm. We need to break out of our kind of casualness and be intentional and say, this is such an important aspect of our humanity. God has wired us to receive encouragement, and let's get after it. Let's do it. So I'm challenging you as a Connect group, if you're hearing this, to take this moment, and I'll stop talking and ask you to do all the talking. Encourage one another around that room. You can establish how you'll do that, but I'm sharing with you what I experienced over 20 years ago, and it still proves to be a powerful example to me of being intentional to be an encourager. And I can't think of a better moment and a safer environment than in a Connect group. So enjoy, and God bless you. Be encouraged. God's with you, and let the kind words and encouraging words move us all forward in our walk with Jesus. Have a great night.